So, how do I turn simple ingredients, chicken breasts, 2 peppers, some onion and garlic, and just some seasonings into a delicious and healthy meal with really minimal effort? I use my favorite appliance, the Crockpot. So, I have a husband who tends to travel for work quite a bit. Mike travels 2 to 3 nights a week. And when he's in town, I want to make sure that there's a hot meal on the table. And when he's not in town, I want to be sure that whatever it is that I made when he is here can last or can be morphed into something else for me to eat or for the kids to eat when he's not home. That way, I'm not running around the kitchen trying to make a meal from scratch with 3 kids by myself. It's a lot more difficult. So, I've come up with some shortcuts for myself like this meal. I am going to take just a little bit of olive oil spray and hit the inside of my crock pot just so that the chicken doesn't stick, because I'm going to put the chicken on the bottom, which is going to help the chicken to cook fastest. It's now 11:45, so I didn't put this in first thing in the morning. And because I didn't put it in first thing in the morning, I've got to be sure that my cooking time is going to be enough for it to be ready when I want to eat. So I'm going to take my 2 chicken breasts and I'm just going to put them on the bottom of my crock pot. And obviously you can adjust this depending upon how many people there are in your household. I'm making chicken tacos, which is not something that my kids will eat. So I'm making it just knowing that Mike and I are going to be the only ones eating it tonight. So chicken is on the bottom. Then I'm going to top that with 1 red onion. It just happens to be the type of onion I had. If you have a sweet onion or a yellow onion or a white onion, please feel free to use whatever you've got. I'm about teaching you a method of how to cook rather than use these specific things in this specific order, because that just seems useless. So we're going to put the onions on top of the chicken, and it's just 1 big onion chopped up. And this is 2 red bell peppers, also chopped. And I chopped both of these things kind of big because they're going in the crock pot. So they're going to cook for a long period of time. And I don't really want them breaking down so much that it's mushy. I still want some texture in my chicken tacos. I'm going to top that with 3 cloves of garlic, also chopped up. And then, if you watched my video the other day, you heard me talk about how I take chipotle and adobo and I puree the entire can and then store it in my refrigerator or my freezer so that it's ready to go, but that I don't waste a can of chipotle and adobo on one recipe. So, this is one of my chipotle and adobo cubes that was in my freezer. I just defrosted it. All I did was leave it on my counter for a little while so that it would be mushy enough to be able to mix in. And I'm just going to add that right on top. And I buy my spices in pretty small size jars, and I do that because they tend to go bad. You cannot keep spices forever. They have a shelf life, and after a certain amount of time they lose their potency. So I'm going to take a small palmful, about that much, of cumin, and put that right on top. And I'm going to do 2 of those same palmfuls of chili powder, just because I love the flavor that it adds. And salt and pepper. And here's the deal with me with salt and pepper. If you don't have dysautonomia, you're probably going to use a lot less salt than I do. I have dysautonomia, which means that I need to eat a lot of salt in my food. It's a requirement for me. I'm under cardiologist's orders to eat a high salt diet. And the way that I add it into my diet is just by adding it to my regular food. Otherwise, when I first was diagnosed, I ate a lot of junk foods that were high in salt. Barbecue potato chips tend to be the highest salt content in the junk food aisle, and I ate a whole lot of barbecue potato chips, which is how I helped to gain all the weight that I had gained. Now I just add additional salt to the food that I'm cooking, and that makes a big difference for me. On top of all of this, we're just going to add about half a cup of white wine. This is just the white wine that I had in my refrigerator. Use whatever you've got. If you don't want to use wine because you don't drink, please feel free to use chicken stock, or even water would work fine. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is a little bit wet, and then you're going to give all the stuff that's on the top a nice stir. Put on your lid and turn your crock pot onto low. Come back in a couple of hours and I will show you how I turn that into chicken tacos.